Hello, how are you? I hope you're doing good. So, how do you create a dark mode in Angular Material version 18? So, there are multiple ways to do this, and you can use the traditional SAS syntax, which we have been using in Angular Material version 17, 16, 15 till now. But in this video, I'm going to show you a more dynamic way to do this using color system variables. And we'll add a nice looking dark mode to our app. Our final result will be something like this. We added a button here at the top, and when you click on this, you are going to switch into dark mode. All of the components are going to get their dark themes as they do in material components, and also our custom components, which is the widget component, it also changes perfectly to what we would like it to be. So you can see here that our text changes and this background of this widget color changes. And if you go back to the light mode, you can see that the color changes. And when you click on this, you can see that this is sort of a panel, the options panel, and you can see the options panel color also changes according to the dark mode theme. And this delete button also changes. So you can see the colors are adjusting themselves to the dark mode really nicely. And we've done all this using CSS variables. So it's all dynamic and can be changed at runtime at any time. Okay, so let's get started. A bit of a background. So Angular Material version 3, they introduced the use of CSS design tokens. And I've covered this to some depth in one of my previous videos, and I'll just give a link to that in the description. And you can check that out if you want more detail. In that video, I explained the use of CSS design tokens in Material 3 to actually create a sort of an unofficial theme builder app in which I use 6 basic colors to define the whole theme of the material components. So it's something like this. You can see that I have a theme here, and I can switch between those themes using all of these 6 colors. Now in this one, what I was doing was that I was overriding specific material component design tokens with my own color values here. And there is sort of a patch file which I apply to it. So this is sort of an unofficial way of theming using these 6 colors. But now there is also an official way to theme using all of the colors available, all of the shades and the roles available in the material design specification. And so in the Angular Material version 18, the Angular Material team has provided an option for us to derive all of our material color theming through the use of CSS variables as well. Now, that is not enabled by default. So, if you go in my code, for example, and let me show you a bit of a code about how we can add a custom theme in Angular Material version 18 using the Material 3 specs. So, what you need to do is that I'm in my styles.sass file in this dashboard. You can see I just use the @use Angular Material as mat syntax and include mat.core. And then all I have to do is I have to define a theme here using the mat.define theme function. Now remember, this is a new function in Material 3 because before this we needed to have different functions for a define light theme and a define dark theme. Now it's all integrated into one. And then in the color options, we can specify which theme type we like. We would like it to be a light or a dark. And then we only need the primary color to be specified, to be required. Otherwise, all of the colors are optional. We can specify them, but they are going to be derived from the primary color if we don't provide any. All right. So in this case, I am using the Azure palette, which is one of the predefined color palettes provided by Angular Material version 18 out of the box. Okay. And then after that, the last thing we do is that we just pass it on to our individual component theming mixins. And this actually creates all of the styles that are applied to all of the material components according to this color scheming. So, but what do I mean by it's not enabled by default, those CSS variables? Well, if we, for example, look at this current state here, and you go in the app here and you inspect, for example, some styles here. Let's say, for example, we inspect this side navigation menu item. And if you look at this item, you can see that they have a background here, and it's a variable which is assigned to the design token mat list active indicator color. And when you click on this, you're going to see that it has a hard coded value which has been generated through this compile time process. Now, this is only possible in compile time, so it's not dynamic, and it does not refer to any color system variables as I mentioned before. So at this point, it is disabled. Now, to enable this, what do we do? It is quite simple, and in this color section here in the custom theme, all we have to do is we have to do use system variables, and we can set this to true. Now, when we set this to true and we save this, there will be a couple of things which will be happening, and you will see those updates. So you can see now that the styling is a bit off of all of the components. You can see the buttons don't appear the way they should appear, and the menu item is also not the same. Now, if we inspect the same menu item here, like this one, you're going to see that we have the background color and it's assigned to the same matlist active indicator color. But when you click on this, it says it is not defined. Now that is because by default, then this matlist active indicator color is now defined to a system color, which we haven't defined in our app as yet. So there is actually no definition for that available. Okay, so where do you get these system variables from? And how many are there? So these system variables are because they follow the official material design specs and the official material design color roles. So they are about 49 in total. I know they are quite a lot. It's not quite as easy or as convenient to use as the 6 colors, but this will follow the official material design specs pretty closely. So if you want to follow an official way which covers all of the range of colors and the roles available in material design, this would be a better way to do it. So let me show you another tool which helps us in this process is an official material theme builder tool I have here. Now I will give the link in the description. It is by Material Foundation on its GitHub. So this is a simple tool through which we can actually generate these color system variables. All right. So they have a source image option here. You can use an image and derive color from there, or you can actually select your own color from here. So in my case, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to just select this blue color here. The blue color looks better to me. So I'm going to select this image here and the seed color is something like this, which is good enough for me. And then you can set all of your secondary, tertiary and error and neutral colors as well if you'd like to. I'm going to do color match true here like this. And then you can see on the right side here, this is a very nice tool. So it has a nice preview of what your app will look like. And then you have your material components at the bottom here just to give you an indication of how they will look like with the different colors. And then this here is actually the thing that I want you to focus on. So these are all of the 49 colors that are then available through the use of the color system variables. And these are the colors that we need to set in our CSS files so that our material components can use them when we are using the use system variables true option. All right. So you can see that we have the normal primary and secondary colors and tertiary colors and error. But you can see we also have surface colors which specify the shades of the surface that we would have. A higher surface maybe will have this shade, a lower surface will have this shade. Then we have outline colors to give that nice, that nice light grayish look. And then below this, this is the light scheme. And then we also have the dark scheme available here. And we have the same colors specified in the dark scheme. All right. So as it turns out that we can actually export all of our color system variables through this material theme builder that is available. And then we just need to use it our apps. And this means that these colors that we specify here, then this Azure palette and this theme type, we don't actually need to use them anymore if we are using the use system variables option. So we can just comment these out and we can just add our these 49 system color variables in our app at this level of HTML, and it's going to color our Angular material components according to those colors. Okay, so let's get doing that then. Okay, so now let's add our color system variables to our Angular material app, our dashboard app. So the process that I follow is that I have this material theme builder, the official material theme builder. So I've selected these colors, and then you can also switch between light and dark modes here and preview how it looks like. So I'm just going to export this and I'm going to get all of those color system variables that I need. So I'm going to go in this option here at the top here and in the export option here. So we have two options that we can use, the web option or the material theme JSON option. So I'm going to use the web option, which is going to give me the CSS in a zip file, all of the CSS in a zip file. So I'm just going to open this up. And if I go inside of this, you're going to see I have the light and the dark, both options available here. So let's just open the light mode just to test things out. And you're going to see that these are all of the 49 color system variables that we need in our app that I was talking about. So let's just copy this. Let's just paste it in our style here. Okay, and now this has a light selector here, but we are going to make this into HTML because we want to make this the default theme. This second thing we want to make sure when we copy it from the material theme builder is that we want to change the notation a bit here. So you can see that it says MD sys color primary, but when you look into your Angular app here, you will see that it has a sort of a different notation. And if you go at the right at the bottom here, you're going to see all of these design tokens, and you can see that it has sys on secondary container like this. So it doesn't have MD and it doesn't have color. So we need to remove these two things from our color system variables to use with Angular material here. All right. So we're going to remove MD here. Okay. Let's remove this. And we'll also remove color here. And let's just save this and try this out. And now when we save this, you're going to see that we have our nice material light theme available to us instantly just by copying the CSS variables. And now if you go in our component here, the same component, you're going to see that we have the background color as matlist active indicator color. And then you can see that it is available. It is assigned to sys secondary container, the value for which we have provided here. And we can change this value at runtime. We can change this value through some REST API, and it's going to update on the UI as well. So let's say, for example, we change the primary to a very horrible looking red color, and let's see what happens. And you can see that it's instant, the buttons are instantly changed to that red color, and this looks horrendous, but you can see that it's all dynamic and you can change the CSS variables. Okay. So this is your default light mode, which we exported from that. Now, what do we do for the dark mode? Now, for the dark mode, all we have to do is we have to change these CSS variables at runtime to the dark mode CSS variables. So to do that, what we're going to do is that we are just going to use the dark file that we got from this export. And in this dark file, you can see that we have all of the dark mode colors here using the same primary color. So I'm going to use the same. You can use a different if you would like to, but I'm going to use the same one. And let's just copy this one here as well. And when we copy this here, I am doing this in the same file just for clarity purposes. But you can organize your project into different theming files if you want it to be a bit more organized than this. So let's remove this MD. As I said before, we need to remove this MD here. I'm going to use Control D for this. And let's also remove this color here. Okay. So our dark class is now ready to be added, and when we add it to our ML or to the document, it's going to replace these default values to these default values, and these contain the dark mode values. All right. So how do we test it out though? We need to test it out by using a button switcher. So how do we add that? So let's go in our app now, and let's go in our app component here. In our app component, you can see that we have our header, which is the toolbar. Let's add a button here quickly, and inside of the mat toolbar we are going to do button. Let's do mat icon button here, and this is going to contain a light and the dark theme icon based on the value of a signal. So let's declare a signal here, dark mode signal false, initial value is false, and we're going to do if dark mode, then it's going to do mat icon light mode. In fact, this should be light mode and this should be dark mode, so that we can switch between the two. And when we click on it, we wanted to switch between the dark and the light mode. So we're going to do dark mode dot set and the false of the dark mode value. So it's going to switch between true and false. All right. So this is going to switch between the dark mode signal. But how do we update the class on the document? So we can do set dark mode, and we can use an effect for the purpose. And we can use the document or document element or class list toggle function in HTML to set the dark class. But we're going to do this according to the dark mode here. Okay. Since it's an effect, whenever the dark mode changes, it's going to get called and it's going to toggle the value according to this value. All right. So this is perfect for our use case, and let's save this and test this out and how this looks. And now you can see this nice icon here. Let's close this. Let's click on this, and you can see it switches to the very nice looking dark theme, and all of our material components, they look really nice according to all of the material design specs. All right. But you can see that we have some issues here with our custom widgets, because these are custom widgets. These are not material design components, so they're not automatically adjust themselves. So next, let's look at how we can deal with these issues. Okay, here I want to interject a bit, and I would like to tell you some good news and some bad news. So a bad news is that I'm moving on from my Buy Me a Coffee shop that I created some time earlier, and you would have heard about it on this channel. But due to some payment issues, I had to migrate to a new provider, and I've now selected Lemon Squeezy, which is the good news. And Lemon Squeezy is sort of a platform which is more suited to software products as well. So this is a win-win situation for me in any case. So I have already migrated all of my products here, and you can access this shop by the link given in the description. Now you can see I have all of my components that some of you might already have and some of you might be thinking of purchasing. Now, another great thing about Lemon Squeezy is that it allows me to set versions of my different software products. So if I upload a new version, to an existing product here. If you have already purchased that product, you can actually get the updated version free of charge. All right. So for example, if I'm building this Angular customizable dashboard at this point, but if for example in the future I add more features to it and you have already purchased it at this point, you are automatically going to get all of the future updates really seamlessly on Lemon Squeeze. So as I plan to add more features to this and convert this dashboard into a proper Angular starter template, you can keep getting those future updates for the same price as you would get at this point if you buy it right now, right? So again, the link to the store is in my description, and also the link to the customizable dashboard itself is also in the description in case you want to get it right now. Okay, now back to the video. Okay, so as we saw our official material components, they look really nice. As you can see, the sidebar here looks really nice. All of the colors are matching. And when you switch to dark and light mode, the text and the colors, they all adjust themselves according to what the material design colors variables tell them to. But what is the problem is that we have our widgets, which are custom components. And because we have hard coded some color values here, these are not appearing visually correct here. So what do we do? Well, we use the power of the CSS variables again to set dynamic colors to them and make our widgets follow the official material design component colors. So let's try to do that. And you can see the first issue here is that this widget background is by default white. And why is that? Let's go in our code here and let's go in our widget here. And if you look at the widget here, you're going to see that I am using the background color I'm setting to the background color that comes from the widget specifications, the configuration. But if there is no color, which is the case for most of them, we set it to a white color by default. Now, we can easily change this because this is a style as well. We can easily change this to use the CSS variable corresponding to our material design surface or one of the similar surface colors and color variables. So let's see which color variable suits us at this point. So for a background of a widget, let's go to our material theme builder and we can actually look at all of our colors here which are available to us. And you can see that this surface color looks nice, but this surface bright color, in fact, this looks better. So let us make it into this surface bright color. So how do we set it to that? We are going to just do variable and sys. And what was it? It was container. It was surface bright. So what we're going to do is we're going to do surface bright here. All right, so let's save this and see how this looks. And now you can see that the white looks fine because the surface bright is white in any case. And when we switch it to dark mode, you're going to see that we're going to switch to this nice looking darker shaded widget background color. And you can come back to this again and you can now see the our widget component is now following the material design color system variables as we want it to, as all of the other components are following it. All right, so this is nice. Now if we go in our settings option here in the widget options, you can see there's another problem here. We have also hard coded the color here. So let's go to our widget options here, and in our widget options you can see that in our host we have a background of white smoke. Now what do we want it to be here? So we want a different color than the base background color to make it a bit different. So we're going to use a darker shade of the surface. So let's go in our material theme builder and you can see that what we actually want here is this surface container color here. So you can see this surface container. This is different from surface bright, you can see. And if you go in our dark scheme, you can see the surface container is something like this, which is a darker shade. So this surface container seems to be well suited for our options surface. So let us use this surf container. What we're going to do is that we're just going to use the same way that we did here. Since the system variable set at the HTML level, the topmost level of our app, we can use it anywhere in the app and it's going to follow that same color changes if we change it in dynamically within the app. So we're going to do surface container. All right. And for the color, you can see the color is black. Now what we want is that we want this to be an inverse color to the background. So if the background is black, we want this color to be white. So for that, we are going to use the inverse surface color here. So let's call this variable sys inverse surface. All right. So let's save this and let's see how this looks. Now, if you go back to my this, you can see that the light mode, this looks nice. And this looks as it looked before or similar to it. And when we go in a dark mode, you can see that it's all of the text follows the color and the background follows the background color. So we see that this dynamically changes to what we wanted. All right. So pretty good. Now you can also see that we have a delete button here, and this delete button sort of looks a bit more darker in our dark mode. And you can see we want to follow our error button here. You can see the light mode, the error is this, and the dark mode, the error is something like this, which looks a bit better on dark modes. So let's also update this, and let's go in our class here in the remove button. We have a hard coded RGB here. Let's change this to a variable, and let's call this sys. Let's save this. And now you can see that sys error looks fine in light mode, but in dark mode, you can see that it goes to a lighter version, which is more suited to the dark mode. Great. So this already looks nice. Now let's try and dragging our options here. And you can see that when we drag this, you can see we don't get this border color correctly in dark mode. You can see that it's too dark to be noticed. And when we go in light mode it still looks nice. So this is because this also we have hard coded in our app. So we need to follow the material design color system variables to make it dynamic. So this style is defined in our styles.sass. In CDK droplets dragging here, you can see the border left and you can see it has a black color. So let's switch this to a different color, which is sort of an outline color. And you can see in our material theme builder that we have an outline color here as well. All right. So we can use this outline color, which is really nice for borders and such things. So we're going to switch this to sys outline. Let's save this. And now when you go to your Angular customer, you can see that in the light mode, this looks fine. This looks like an outline. When we go in dark mode, you can see in dark mode, it also looks really nice. Okay. So this follows. So you can see we can virtually customize any color that we want in our app according to the material design color system variables, bringing in a lot of flexibility, and all of these changes are quick enough. We don't need to rely on SAS, and we don't need to rely on complex, getters to get these specific colors from the material design palettes. Okay. So now we can keep updating any other styles that we find that sort of appears off in our dark mode to get the dark mode truly working like we'll like it. We can also override the existing design tokens. So I want to, for example, make this toolbar a bit more pronounced. And if you look at the toolbar here, you can see that its background color is set to matte toolbar container background color, which is set to sys surface. Now I find this sys surface to be a bit more darker than I would like, because this background is also dark and this is also a similar shade. So there's nothing to distinguish between them and it looks a bit off. So I want to override this with another system variable. So you can also do that. Let's copy this, for example, here. Matte toolbar container background color. Let's copy this here so that we don't have to look into it. And then let's go into our header. And in our header, we are going to, in our matte toolbar, we can override this design token like this. And in our variable, we can give a different variable. And in our case, we want a surface which is a bit grayish in color, a bit less dark. So we would like a surf container low option here, which is a bit different from this surface here. So you can see that the shade is a bit different for the dark mode, and even for the light mode you can see that this is a bit different. So we would like to use this surf container low. So let's do sys surface container low here. Okay, let's save this, and now you can see our in the light mode there's not much difference, there's a very slight difference which looks nice. And when we go in our dark mode, you can see the dark mode is a bit more pronounced so that we can see our toolbar in a better way. All right. So you can see we have made a pretty decent looking dark mode for our dashboard here, all by using the power of the T9 system color variables provided by Material Design. Now you can use the same method to add multiple dark and light themes. You can add multiple colors. You can change colors at runtime. You can get them from REST APIs. You can, allow the user to change them. So it's all really dynamic. Of course, if you would not like to use all of these 49 colors, you can use just my 6-color theming system as well. And you can get it from my shop as well. But even if you don't want to get that and you just want to use these 49 color system variables, your app is going to become really dynamic in terms of theming and using the specific color for your custom components. And it's going to make your life much easier when you are customizing in Angular Material version 18. So thanks for watching. As always, the code for this whole dashboard is, the link for that is in the description. You can get that whole app right now and all the future updates as well. And I'm open to suggestions. So if you'd like to see more stuff added to this starter template, be sure to comment below with your requests. I'm going to consider them for my future videos and for this dashboard template as well. And if you like this video, please hit the like button. And of course, If you haven't subscribed to my channel as yet, please subscribe to the channel so that you can get future notifications about how I'm building this dashboard up. So thanks for watching, and till next time, I'm going to see you in the next video.